Hello, I'm Andrew Susskind, and I'm a psychotherapist and author based on the west side of Los Angeles since 1992, specializing in trauma and addictive compulsive behaviors. Welcome to my podcast, named after my recent book and workbook, It's Not About the Sex. Here we have direct and honest conversations related to compulsive sexual behavior and trauma, all from a sexual health perspective. Our intention is to offer fresh viewpoints and practical strategies toward establishing greater intimacy and a more deeply connected life. Let's begin. So today I am very excited to welcome Sue Merlino, my podcast producer and close friend that all of you know. And we're going to be turning the tables and interviewing Sue about her work as a coach.
Well, this is exciting for me, Andrew.
I think it's more exciting for me actually,
Okay.
because I some of this I don't even know.
Right,
And it's
right.
so funny that we've known each other for so long and we're going to be covering new ground, which is awesome. I'm just going to launch right into it if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So the name of your private practice is Your Clear Pathways. Can you explain your philosophy behind Clear Pathways and how it blends coaching with organizing one's physical space?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. Clear Pathways is all about helping people unlock their potential by addressing both their mindset and their physical environment. And my approach really recognizes that when we create a more organized, intentional space around us, we often create clarity in our thoughts, in our actions. And it's really just a kind of like aligning your physical world with your mental world. So you feel empowered, you feel equipped to succeed in all areas of your life.
Fantastic. I think I need to enlist your services.
It's a lot of fun, really. I do enjoy it.
I know you enjoy it, and I'm wondering if you can give our listening audience an example of how you tailor your services to meet the specific needs of your clients, especially those struggling with addiction or emotional challenges.
Sure. So, as many listeners of the podcast will know, I'm a CADC.
Which means what?
I know it's weird pronunciation of the four letters CADC, but it's certified alcohol and drug counselor. I passed this exam, so I'm a CADC in 36 states. If I was so choose to practice across the country, I could.
Wow.
Every person's unique. So I tailor my services to address your individual challenges. And clients struggling with addiction or emotional barriers, I first focus on shifting the mindset. You're going to hear this. The mindset is a big part of where I'm at and what I help people do. Another big part of this is helping to address what your limiting beliefs are. And people don't even know what their belief systems are a lot of times, right? It's hard to even identify that. And it's by building very small, actionable steps that create a sense of control. So then I work on their physical environment, ensuring that their space supports their journey towards recovery, towards stability and peace of mind.
So, alongside of that, I understand that you bring in something called time management coaching.
Mhm.
So, can you share more about your approach to time management coaching and how does it go along with the organizational services that you offer?
Sure. So, what I learned early on is the way I do things, the way I organize my life and my calendar doesn't work for everybody. My job is to really sit down and understand what works for you or what doesn't work for you. But everyone does have an inclination to do things a certain way. And that habit sometimes can get in your way, or sometimes we can use that. So, if somebody is really tech savvy or accesses their calendar online, we start there. We color code different things during the day. We set up alarm systems. There's actually apps that I bring in that help people. But what I find, writing things down in a daily calendar, like old school, is so helpful for people. And I ask, and I work on with clients to write down, set aside a time to go for a walk, set aside a time to cook lunch, set aside a time to pay your bills, and stick to that time. Set a timer for yourself. If you have an iPhone, you can actually cut off interruptions, right? They actually have a message that will come up when I get in my car now, you're driving, right? So I'm not just getting disturbed when I'm driving, I'm focused on driving. I work on organizing their daily, like figuring out what their daily habits are, what their daily struggles are, and then setting realistic goals and realistic timelines. And then we work on organizing, again, the physical space to support that time management strategy. So
Hmm.
whether it's creating a designated workspace in your area, like the space behind me, right? This is the only place I go when I work on this, right? And
Hmm.
decluttering any distractions. Or maybe there's a window that you can open and you bring in nature from outside. Maybe those things can complement the areas and your workspaces that you're in, and using different tools that help you stay on track.
Hmm. So when you were talking about the old school use of a calendar, which is what I do automatically, I heard accountability. I heard accountability to self, accountability to you as a coach, and I'm wondering if you could say something about that.
Some people need me just to be accountable, right? I mean, learning how to be accountable for yourself it takes time, right? So a lot of times I have some clients that just have me come to them to be there in their space. I'm part of their accountability for them to be able to get things done. And I find this with people who have ADHD, they need someone in their space, not necessarily working with them, but being there, and it helps them stay accountable to what it is that they're doing.
That's great. So you mentioned some of the struggles. What are some common obstacles that your clients face when trying to create a more organized space? And how do you help them overcome these challenges? It would be great, by the way, if you could just share a specific example of that.
Sure. I kind of want to go back a little bit to limiting beliefs because I think this is kind of really where it all starts. I'll hear people say, and we may even catch ourselves saying certain things over and over and over without even realizing how they're impacting us, right? So, I mean, you'll hear people say, life is hard, life is hard. And so, what that does is starts to create this belief system that, guess what? Life is hard. It's going to become hard, and changing that into a more positive mindset to say life has challenges, right? Life is going to present obstacles. How am I going to get over those things? So those are the types of things I listen for, and then I work with people. I'll have people a lot of times say, I can't let go of this item. If I do, I'm going to regret it, right? So we're holding on. What are you actually holding on to? And just sometimes taking a picture of them with the item is enough for them to be able to let it go.
Hmm.
Um, Another example, I work with this elderly woman who her husband passed away 16 years ago, and she can't move on. She's very, very stuck. And if you went to her home, you will see every single wall is covered with pictures of him, and she hasn't been able to move on from that. She's not ready to yet. She has we've been working a long time to even have her recognize it. I can't point that out to her, but she has surrounded herself by the past. And I really help people focus on the present. And is this, not to steal from Marie Kondo, and is this bringing you joy? Is this something that is creating a positive feeling in your life when you look around and see, the past presented to you every single moment in that house? it's exhausting, right?
Mm,
So having them understand how their environment is presenting to them, and
hmm
how changing your mindset around that is a huge step.
mm. I was thinking about all the pictures around the house and how heavy that must feel, that it's almost like looking at your grief all the time. I mean, you
Mhm.
could celebrate someone's life, but is there a way of making room for your life today and in the future?
Of course, yeah.
So you may have answered some of this already, but how does organizing one's physical environment relate to emotional and mental well-being?
So a cluttered space often leads to a cluttered mind. And I'm not just saying that because that's how I feel personally. I don't think, I think that's like a common thing. You can walk into some stores and turn around and walk out because it's just nothing's organized. Can you imagine trying to find something? So our environment has a direct impact on how we feel and how we think. And when clients begin to organize their space, they often tell me that they're feeling less stressed. They're feeling more focused. They become more confident. They're taking control of something. So, by making sure that your environment is supporting your goals, you really can alleviate that mental fog and create room for new ideas and positive energy. And sometimes it seems super overwhelming, right? To like look into a room. I've been in rooms where you can't even see the floor.
Hmm
That can be very overwhelming, and they just accept it as it is. And we do tend to do that as humans, right? We can adapt to our environments. But are you feeling cluttered? Is there something that's pulling you down? So starting with very small, and you talk about this all the time, going slowly, going small little successful steps opens up so much energy. It's amazing to see.
Mm. And the next question piggybacks on that. So, how do you measure success in your coaching and organizational programs, and what milestones do your clients reach?
So success is measured by the client's ability to implement and sustain the changes that lead to improved mental clarity, organization, and overall well-being. So milestones might include decluttering a specific area of the home or office, or creating consistent routines, or achieving a personal goal related to time management. However, the real success is in the client's growth, both mentally and physically, and as they
Hmm
move through this process.
hmm And I imagine as part of that, what you're saying is that if someone starts to feel more capable and competent, if someone starts to feel that sense of agency, then that's the Holy Grail in a way.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
really what it's all
absolutely.
about.
Yep.
Right. Because hopefully they can take it on the road once you've helped them with some strategies and tools.
Yeah, part of it is letting go of me, right? And
Right.
feeling like, all right, you can do this on your own, and me taking a step back. It's like raising a child, you know? But it's amazing to see the transformation
Yeah.
when people actually start to take agency with themselves.
Yeah. I mean, I really hear how transformative it is in terms of one's physical environment, but also one's internal world and how they go together.
Yeah. And it ties in with everything you say too, like about fear, right? Getting to the point of like, why am I still holding on to this? And it can
Hmm
be a thought or a memory or something that's not serving them anymore, but they still hold on to it. And so getting to the bottom of to like asking that why question, it's hard.
It is hard. I mean, this is not for the faint of heart. I mean, this is heavy lifting for some. And I really, commend you for being available to these clients who have really been weighed down and have been tormented in some ways by some of their limiting beliefs and by their inability to create an environment that truly is going to be more conducive for them, both in their well-being, but in productivity, et cetera. It all kind of goes together, right?
For sure. Yeah, definitely. It's not all success sometimes too, right? It's
Right, right,
it's
right.
hard and some people give up and
Mm-hmm.
they I mean a lot of my clients are older
Mm-hmm.
women who just are ready to make a change. You know, they call me when they're ready to make a change. And I'm not anyone's therapist here, right? I make sure they have a therapist. But I do work intimately with them, you know, and going through this process.
Well, if we can talk a little bit more about the nuts and bolts, because I want to, remind people listening to this episode that you go to people's homes.
Right.
You're making home visits, which just by the nature of that is very intimate for
Hmm.
somebody to invite you in and feel trusting enough to ask for your help. So
Right.
that's really
Yeah.
important. And I'm wondering if you could walk us through what a typical session might look like.
Sure. I typically it starts with a phone call. A lot of times I'm referred out, so people do kind of already know about me. And then what I like to do is have a one-on-one conversation, and this can be on the phone or on Zoom, doesn't need to be in their space yet, but really understanding what they want to see for themselves. And is it a mindset issue with them? I mean, by the time they call me, honestly, Andrew, they've already have changed. There's been a switch, right, from them living the way they're living and understanding
Hmm.
like something needs to change. So for me, it's helping them realize what it is that needs to change. Is it that they need to organize their closet? Is it that they are stuck in their thoughts, that their limiting beliefs are taking over and creating these habits that aren't serving them anymore. So it's having a really deep conversation with them. And the first conversation is kind of just, hey, I have some clutter I need to clean. I feel like it's just, you know, a surface thing. Um, but over time we go deeper, and when I'm in their space with them, that's when it gets more intimate and it becomes, why do you think you're holding on to this? And do you think you can let go of that? And it all comes from them, but I'm guiding them and facilitating it.
Hmm. So what I hear is that as the good listener you are, you're really investigating what they truly want. What are their coaching goals? And once the individual is able to articulate what they really want, then you have your roadmap in front of you.
Right, exactly.
That's great. Now, in terms of continuous support or ongoing support in your coaching and organizing services, how how does it help clients to maintain the changes that they've made with you?
So, well, continuous support is essential because lasting change doesn't happen overnight. Clients often face setbacks or fall very easily back into old habits. So, by providing ongoing support, I can help them stay on track and adjust strategies when necessary. And I tell them that, you know, sometimes we're going to try things, they might not work, but you need to be open and flexible to say, okay, that's not working for me. Let me try something else. I like to guide people to journal. It's a big part of what I've learned that is very helpful for people to stay present. Some people just can't journal, right? They try and they just can't do it. I like to help people meditate or be more mindful. Sometimes they just they don't they have too much anxiety or something. They just can't get to that. So it's not every strategy works. So I need to be open and help them be open to adjust the strategies as necessary. Ensure that they maintain the changes that they work so hard to implement. And our ongoing relationship really ensures that they don't feel isolated in their journey, and it gives them the confidence to keep moving forward. So I like to provide that support. I have people that I used to see twice a week. Now I
Mm.
see once a month, you know,
Hmm.
and sometimes it's just a check-in. Sometimes it's like, hey, do you have a time, an hour on Saturday morning for a check-in? And this is what they're going through. Um, and I'll suggest a new strategy. Try this.
It reminds me of long-term recovery from compulsive sexual behavior in the sense that it's not always a linear progression. And sometimes people are making a lot of progress, and sometimes they'll have a setback. And hopefully, if they have a sponsor or other people in their life to hold the space with them for sometimes just stumbling and fumbling,
Hmm.
but also to stay on track, that it doesn't have to mean that you have to go back to square one.
Exactly.
Yeah, so there's something very parallel in what you're saying in terms of your coaching clients. And I assume if somebody is in recovery, if somebody that you're working with is in recovery, you're actually holding a lot of different dimensions of how to live a bigger, better life.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's where this all came from, honestly. Going through my counseling classes and really understanding and learning how the mind traps work and how creating habits that don't serve us in healthy ways and physical ways and mental ways and all the ways. If something's not working, how do we break that habit? How do we change our mindset? And we speak a lot about neural pathways and creating new neural pathways. It takes time. Of
Mhm.
course, our subconscious is very powerful, and I like to reflect back to that poem by Robert Frost, Two Roads Diverged in a Yellow Wood. Of course, our mind is always going to take that road that's traveled over and over and over. But to diverge and take the road less traveled is takes courage, right? But let's try. Let's try and see if we can start to create that other neural pathway that serves us better.
So, with that said, we're almost out of time, but I have a question for you.
Hmm.
If there are one or two takeaways for our listeners, what would they be?
Um, I think self-reflection, I think, is a big part of this, and taking the time to understand yourself and evolving to be a better version of yourself, to be more authentic. So if you can take a moment during your day to notice, self-reflect, and how you're responding to things that are out of your control, take a deep breath and respond in a way that makes sense to you, that's healthy for you.
Hmm. This has really been fun because I feel like I'm getting an up close and personal understanding of how you have weaved in your CADC training and brought in the organizational services and coaching. And there's so many pieces to this. I feel like I have a dozen people I want to send to you. I really appreciate you being my guest, and having this time together has been really great.
Thanks, Andrew. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for listening today. It was so wonderful sharing the time with my colleague, my friend, and my podcast producer, Sue Merlino, and discussing this really vital topic. She can be reached through her website at yourclearpathways.com. If you're so inclined, please give us a 5-star rating and be sure to subscribe and share my podcast with those who may benefit. I look forward to you joining us the next time, and don't forget to stay connected. Awesome.